Welcome to another episode of Simple Mind Space, the podcast dedicated to helping you master your money and your minds. I'm your host, and today we're diving into the fascinating and often uncomfortable world of social anxiety, particularly how it manifests as excessive niceness. You know those moments? Your heart races, your palms sweat, you'd rather be anywhere else, yet you find yourself plastering on a smile and showering compliments. We've all been there. And today, we're going to unpack why we do this, the impact it has, and most importantly, how to break free from the cycle of anxious niceness. Let's start by acknowledging the elephant in the room. Awkward social situations are just plain uncomfortable. Whether it's a tense negotiation, a first date, or even just trying to navigate a room full of strangers, these moments can trigger a cascade of physiological and behavioral responses that scream, "Get me out of here!" As a social psychologist, I've spent over 2 decades studying these interactions, and the patterns are strikingly consistent. People get fidgety, they avoid eye contact, their heart rates spike, all classic signs of discomfort. And yet, despite feeling like they'd rather disappear, they often double down on being overly nice, showering others with compliments, and avoiding any hint of conflict. Why do we do this? It's a complex interplay of factors, but a big part of it boils down to our deep-seated need for social acceptance. We want to be liked, to fit in, and to avoid making waves, even if it means sacrificing our own comfort or authenticity. But here's the thing about anxious niceness. It often backfires. While it may seem like a harmless way to smooth over social awkwardness, the truth is, it can have a detrimental impact on both the giver and the receiver. For the giver, constantly suppressing their true thoughts and feelings can lead to burnout, resentment, and a diminished sense of self. Imagine constantly biting your tongue at work, afraid to voice your opinions or challenge the status quo. Over time, this can erode your confidence and make it difficult to advocate for yourself. And for the receiver, while on the surface, constant compliments and praise might seem nice, over time, it can feel insincere and even patronizing. Think about it. How would you feel if your boss constantly showered you with generic praise but never offered any specific feedback on how to improve? You might start to wonder if they even value your contributions or if they're just trying to avoid any potential conflict. One of the most concerning findings of my research is the long-term impact anxious niceness can have, particularly in professional settings. When feedback is consistently positive and non-specific, it creates a feedback loop that benefits no one. For example, let's say you have an employee who consistently misses deadlines. Instead of addressing the issue directly, their manager, driven by anxious niceness, might say something like, "Hey, I really appreciate all your hard work. Just keep doing what you're doing." Now, on the surface, this seems positive, but it doesn't address the underlying issue. The employee continues to miss deadlines, the manager gets increasingly frustrated, and the cycle continues. What's worse, this lack of specific feedback can actually harm the employee's reputation in the long run. When it comes time for promotions or new opportunities, those generic compliments ring hollow. Potential employers or clients might see through the fluff and wonder why there's no substance to back it up. So how do we break free from this cycle of anxious niceness? It starts with shifting our mindset about feedback. We need to move away from the idea that niceness and honesty are mutually exclusive. In fact, the most valuable feedback is often a blend of both. Here are a few key steps to help you cultivate a culture of authentic, constructive feedback. 1. Start with yourself. Examine your own beliefs about feedback. Do you equate being nice with avoiding conflict at all costs? Do you worry that giving critical feedback will make you seem harsh or unapproachable? Challenging these ingrained beliefs is crucial to making a change. 2. Reframe the conversation. Instead of asking people if they want nice or honest feedback, which often leads to the path of least resistance, frame it in terms of specificity and usefulness. For instance, you could say, "I'm always looking for ways to improve, so I'd really appreciate it if you could give me feedback on specific area." This sets the expectation that you value concrete, actionable insights, not just generic praise. 3. Focus on the why behind the feedback. When delivering feedback, particularly critical feedback, Make it clear that your intention is to help the person grow and improve, not to tear them down. For example, instead of saying, "Your presentations are boring," you could say, "I've noticed that your presentations tend to be very text-heavy. Have you considered incorporating more visuals or interactive elements to engage the audience?" 4. Start small and neutral. Changing deeply ingrained behaviors takes time and effort. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire feedback style overnight, start by practicing with low-stakes, neutral feedback. For example, instead of simply saying, "Great job" on a colleague's presentation, you could offer a specific observation like, "I really liked how you structured your presentation. It flowed really well." 5. Embrace the power of "and." When delivering critical feedback, use the word "and" to connect the criticism with a positive attribute or suggestion. For example, instead of saying, "You interrupted me 3 times during that meeting," you could say, "I appreciate your enthusiasm and willingness to contribute, and I think it would be even more effective if you waited for a natural pause in the conversation before sharing your thoughts." Remember, breaking free from the cycle of anxious niceness is a journey, not a destination. It takes conscious effort and practice, but the rewards are well worth it. When we create a culture of authentic, constructive feedback, we foster trust, respect, and ultimately greater success for everyone involved. So the next time you find yourself in an uncomfortable social situation, resist the urge to default to anxious niceness. Take a deep breath, be true to yourself, and remember, honesty delivered with kindness and respect is the greatest gift you can give to yourself and those around you. That's it for this episode of Simple Mind Space. If you enjoyed this episode and found it valuable, we'd love for you to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep those minds sharp and those wallets full.